Hi, everybody. Probably the last session I'm between you and dinner. My name is Murli Gandluru, and I'm really excited to be talking about how we at Cisco are transforming data center security. You probably heard today Jeetu at his keynote, talk about our new smart switches, the Cisco N9300 smart switches, and how did that come about? Today we will talk to a partner of ours, an esteemed partner of ours, AMD, and also a customer. Our partner is AMD with Yusuf Khan, who's a very well familiar person with Cisco as well, and he's joining us from AMD. Along with that, we have Mehmet Durmus from Turkcell, and Mehmet will talk about some of the use cases where the smart switch is going to be relevant in his environment, in their environment. But first, just start taking a step back, talking about why we embarked on this journey and where we are headed with this. What many of our customers, and both enterprises and providers alike, are telling us that in this current world that they are having to deal with, their asset bases are spread across multiple private cloud environments, public cloud environments, and other kinds of edge environments as well. And being able to manage security and network at scale for their data center and pods and locations is actually a challenge, and it's only increasing. So when this complexity increases, it's important to drive modernity into that infrastructure. If you can do it with policy at scale, that brings a lot of efficiency into that infrastructure. Being able to cater to business growth demands, as you will hear from Turkcell as well today, is also important. They want to be able to manage the same infrastructure with the same resources, but at a massively hyper-distributed scale. Finally, being able to apply security at scale will mean that it's not only has to be centrally defined but distributed and enforced, but it has to be accelerated at the edges. And that's why what we announced earlier today was security fused into the data center fabric. This is a completely new approach to building out data centers, data center networks reaching out into the public or private cloud environments, because fundamentally now we are bringing two key elements of Cisco's strategy. One is, of course, the Nexus portfolio, which is the broadest portfolio in the data center network environments, supports all kinds of architectures. Being able to bring those Cisco N9300 smart switches with your familiar Nexus OS, along with the Nexus dashboard, and then aligning that with Cisco Hypershield. So one of the key things that these smart switches bring to you is that ability to not only forward packets that you're familiar with any switch. You now have the ability to intelligently redirect traffic when a particular flow requires it to a data processing unit or a DPU. And that's where a data processing unit that is Ultra Ethernet ready. In fact, the whole switch and the capabilities in that are Ultra Ethernet consortium ready. We have two form factors that you see here. One is a gateway switch, which is the 24-port 100 gig switch that you see on the left. That's going to be first targeted to be available. And that is supported for a variety of use cases that are listed there. And we'll get into it more when we talk about this in the fireside chat. The second one is a top-of-rack use case that allows for that distributed scale and allows for greater segmentation, including very granular approach to it. And we'll touch upon that as well later. So we're really excited to be introducing these smart switches in this environment. And so, as I said, the second part of the pillar there is security cloud control. Security cloud control from Hypershield is what allows you to define the policies, those policies that you can push down to the network. Cisco Hypershield already supports the same for VM, container, and bare metal environments, now extending that to the network. With that, you're able to support autonomous segmentation, be able to do zone-based firewall capabilities, layer 3 and layer 4 capabilities, distributed vulnerability protection, and many other services as we look forward. telemetry and NAT capabilities and so on. So we'll touch upon that a bit. Fundamentally, that picture tells you that now, if you have a centralized way of approach to putting policy and distribute enforcing them, how you'll be able to address that. So with that, the key thing that you notice there is the fact that we are not doing this as a bolt-on approach. This is actually being built, as the word says, infused into the architecture. So security has been built in from day one, providing you a simple, efficient, and extensible approach to building out networks. One of the other things we are hearing from some of our customers, and especially in the regulated industry, is about compliance and governance at scale. So these are some of the reasons why I'm so excited to bring on stage Yusuf Khan from AMD and Mehmet Durmaz. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Thank you, Yusuf. So one of the key things that you see here is that we've decided to go with we have a customer, a partner, and Cisco here. So that's reflected in the product as well. As you can see there, you have Cisco Silicon One providing intelligent traffic rerouting capabilities and all the unique capabilities that Cisco Silicon One brings to the table. And then along with that, AMD. And this is such an innovative approach, right?
Absolutely. Look, first of all, congratulations to you, Murli, and Cisco for being the driving true innovation into the market, right? So this is, from my perspective, and also a lot of customers that we talk to, is a new breed of the networking devices, right? So it is a new class of devices that Cisco is bringing to the market, and it is driving true innovation because, as you described, not a bolt-on innovation. It is not something that we are shipping those flows out to somewhere else and getting analyzed and then bringing them back, but this is in line, at scale, driving performance, right, and then fulfilling a lot of use cases. And I think the use cases that we're going to talk about are just scratching the surface because the potential is truly there. And given the fact that we are using programmable DPU from AMD as part of this innovation, I mean, the options are limitless, right? Because again, we can deliver the feature, we can deliver the capability with the scale and performance of hardware, but at the speed of the software, right?
Absolutely. And being able to put that jigsaw puzzle on the board, and then in that small form factor that you saw, right? You saw those pizza box type form factors. You can scale up as you need and also scale out for different use cases as well. So yeah, absolutely. So with that, I wanted to just sort of get talk to you, Mehmet, about one of the key things. Do you mind telling us a little bit about Turkcell, your infrastructure, and the business priorities that are driving certain decisions in your environment?
Okay, first of all, many thanks for inviting me to here and sharing our insight and business priorities.
Thank you.
First of all, let me give some introduction about Turkcell. Turkcell is a digital operator headquartered in Turkey, serving its customer with unique portfolio of digital services, along with voice, messaging data, and IP TV services in both fixed and mobile networks, managing by more than 38 million mobile and 3 million fixed customers. Turkcell has also the largest data center environment in Turkey, with 4 main data center locations. So in this regard, Turkcell is the leader in the market, data center market, as it is leader in the mobile business in Turkey. Actually, digital transformation and demands are shaping the needs for the high reliable and secure data center infrastructure. For that reason, while we are extending our data center capacity, we are also focusing on how can we increase our scalability, how can we increase our network security, and how can we increase our automation capabilities end-to-end. At this point, with NSO and ACI integration, which we implemented in the first time in the world, our data center solution has strong automation and orchestration capabilities.
Absolutely.
On the other hand, we are working on some new transformations in data center business. We are working on multi-site DC, we are working on remote leaf solutions, and we are working on VMM integration for our cloud customers. And we are working also for on layer 3 fabric integration for our ICT services. So actually, we have already built a huge base data center infrastructure, but on the table there are many new transformation and topics to work and to proceed. So this is the small.
Absolutely.
What's our transformation?
And Turkcell being the biggest service provider there, you probably have a wide range of enterprises as
Yes.
well as end users, all accessing it from different places, and the users moving about, being mobile as well. So security is a very important part.
Yes.
So tell us a bit about what aspect of security, especially on the data center side, you think will play an important role in your environment.
Actually, first of all, I want to say something how things happening in the technology. So today we are talking about the 5G, 6G, IoT, edge computing, AI. So we are talking about the many new technologies, new capabilities, new services. But for all these, we need a connectivity. We need network connectivity. If there is a connectivity, so there is AI, ML, 5G, 6G, 7G even. So connectivity is the key to get all these technologies and new transformation. But what are the challenges on the connectivity? First of all, we should provide a secure connectivity, then high reliable connectivity. While we are extending our network, at the same time, we should focus on how can we secure our network better. At this point, actually, on our Turkcell data center, IT data center, we are providing the data center service for Turkey's most important and critical enterprise customers, public and private organizations, such as finance, e-commerce, trade, etc. For that reason, ensuring the security is one of our top priority in Turkcell. Ensuring the security also top priority for our consumers as well, because we are leading the biggest mobile network in Turkey. When we look at the data center point of view, in our data center, as Turkcell, we present internet, layer 2 and layer 3 VPN services for our colocation and cloud customers. To provide the security for these enterprise customers in our data center network, we are using standalone firewall inside the data center fabric, inside ACI fabric, and we are using some DMZ firewalls just between the security connection between the internet and data center. So of course, these these standalone firewalls are creating some problems, such as single point of failure, huge investment cost, and operational complexity. On the other hand, we also use some ACI capabilities inside the security to provide stateful segmentation between our customers, such as segmentation, micro-segmentation. When we look at our mobile and fixed network, of course, we are using some GI firewall functions, IPsec functions, and we have some DDoS functions just for the volumetric attacks from the internet, as all operators use. This is our story about security.
Yusuf, so as you hear Mehmet talk about those security use cases, right, with the being one of the leading DPU vendors, being the leading DPU vendor out there, how does AMD view those use cases, and what kind of role can the DPUs help in bridging some of the things that we couldn't do potentially in the prior world, even with the existing fabrics that we used to have?
No, you're absolutely right, Murli. I know that, you're very well aware that DPUs have become the de facto standards within the data center now, right? I mean, if you look at all the major cloud providers and hyperscalers in the world, right? I mean, we can start from the top: AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, IBM Cloud, OCI, Meta. They are all using DPU technology in their data center environment, right, to provide offload services. What type of services we offload? We do SDN offload services, we do security offload services, as well as storage acceleration. So these are three big buckets of use cases which DPU provide. And there's no such thing as a cloud provider who doesn't use DPU technology in different form factors, right?
Correct.
When I say different form factors, I mean SmartNIC is one form factor, appliance is another form factor, and then Smart Switch is an emerging use case that the customers are looking to deploy. And why are they using it? Because I mean, security solutions today exist, and they have been existing for a very long time. But to provide a solution that can be deployed at scale, give you performance, and also deliver TCO advantages is the key. And that's where DPUs come in, because it can give you the scale of the hardware, it can give you the performance of a hardware, as well as inline, right? Yeah. It's not a kludgy solution, as well as deliver TCO of hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, to give an example, right? I mean, when OCI deployed DPU-based infrastructure in their OCI workloads, they saw 5x improvement for both SDN as well as storage services. When IBM deployed, immediately they saw from their pre-existing solution 2x performance advantage. And Microsoft Azure saw 100x improvement for connections per second and acceleration of the connections as well as the scale. These are very, very tangible benefits. I mean, Microsoft, I mean, and given that AMD DPUs is very unique in the sense that they use P4 programmable technology, and you can deliver new features along the way. I mean, we are discovering new use cases, I mean, these cloud providers on a daily basis. I mean, there is a cloud provider who is like looking to deploy server load balancer use case on those DPUs, and the preliminary study that they did is that they can save 22 cores by offloading a single server load balancer from a virtual appliance into a DPU.
And when you put those DPUs in the network, now you can probably save also the number of, if you were putting the DPUs in each of the servers, instead of that,
if
you put it on the network, now network sees everything, and being able to put those services there probably helps, like in the case of Turkcell.
Right. So everything becomes inline, right? And those 22 cores is not just because you are like able to dedicate 22 cores more for computing power, but also you are managing so many less software licenses, right? So again, I know that our teams have done that calculation. It's hundreds of millions of dollars in TCO saving, and that's a very, very tangible use case, right?
Now, I think one of the things that you also just said was about how you're able to add more and more services as we go forward. I mean, server load balancing is certainly one more that I didn't even think about, but that is another great example.
I mean, security is a predominant use case. You talked about it. I mean, that is very, very applicable to enterprise customers also, because I mean, from a any data-intensive industry that is there, whether it's financial industry, whether it is telecommunication industry like Turkcell, I mean, there is a federal regulatory compliance, financial compliance.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? So that is putting a lot of mandate on these infrastructure providers to do that inspection. Micro-segmentation is a use case that is coming from all the large financial customers, right? And they're coming and they are like scrambling to update their infrastructure so that they can provide that micro-segmentation use case for their general purpose traffic, right, also.
So Mehmet, when you hear what Yusuf was saying, right, I mean, we talked about DPU switches, we talked about the fundamental paradigm shift that's happening there. Mm-hmm. How do you see these security switches, smart switches, potentially integrating into your environment to drive your business and innovation needs?
Okay. As I mentioned before, as a Turkcell, we are providing the data center service for the most critical and enterprise customers and public and private organizations. Of course, our main aim to increase our enhance our experience for our customers from the security point of view and from the high reliability point of view. And at the same time, we need to decrease our investments, and we need to make our network more simple. You know, simplicity is one of the most topic in Cisco Live, as you know. At this point, what we are doing today, in our data, when I look to all these fantastic features, we can implement some of these features on our data center network and also our mobile and fixed networks.
Right.
Actually, I have an example from two examples from data center and two examples from the telco side. The first one, in our current situation, in our IT data centers, we are using standalone local firewall in each data center rooms, just to provide layer 3 and layer 4 segmentation, stateful segmentation in our ACI fabric. So of course, it is these firewalls are creating a single point of failure, and they are creating some complexity from the operational point of view, and also they are creating huge investment. At this point, we can locate these new Cisco products just inside our data center to make our service topology better, and we can remove the single point of failure. And we are also using DMZ firewalls in case of, especially between the public and private clouds connectivity. If we put these new products instead of DMZ, we can remove the DMZ cost and single point of failure again. Actually, as a Turkcell, we have working on the hyperscaler integration. I mean, hyperscaler collaboration. So in next step, probably we will need to make integration between the hyperscalers and Turkcell Cloud. So in this
and you saw what Yusuf said, right?
Yes,
the hyperscalers have adopted this approach.
In this
Yeah,
configuration, in this business configuration, I think these Cisco smart switches will help us to provide these needs with the lower cost and better performance. We can provide better scalability. On the other hand, as you know, data centers are becoming much more critical to support the 5G, ORAN, edge computing, NFV technologies. At this point, we need to extend your data center capabilities to the edge point, right? So when you extend your data center capabilities to the edge point, you also need to move your security functions to the edge. So it will create some cost, and it will create some operational complexity again, and single point of failure. At this scenario, I think we can again implement this product to have a better scalar edge cloud topologies, I believe. On the other hand, in our actually as Turkcell, we have already virtualized all our packet core and GI LAN services on top of the telco cloud. We have really big telco cloud infrastructure, and in our telco cloud network, we also use the Cisco equipments as well. So, especially for the service chaining in GI LAN services between the P gateway, CG NAT, GI firewall, etc. So traffic is going through the many different services through the network. So we can locate these smart switches in our telco cloud network to decrease the east-west traffic, especially between the services. And we can make our telco cloud infrastructure, network infrastructure simpler and more scalar. As a result, by using this kind of integrated solutions, I mean networking and security functions are locating together in the same device, we can not only remove single point of failure, operational complexity, or we can cancel some
power cooling space,
power cooling investment costs. We can also provide better scale, better secure connectivity for our customers and services.
Absolutely.
And by using this kind of solution, as a Turkcell, we can keep our leadership in the market, and we can provide a competitive advantage on this crazy transformation, technology transformation, I think.
Got it. If you all thought that I would get through a presentation without using the word AI, sorry, you're wrong. I almost got to the end, but we're going to go there. So Yusuf, AI and security are both very important themes here at Cisco Live and in general. As you see the DPUs evolving, the data processing units evolving, where do you see the intersection of these two over the next 3-5 years? What kind of things that you see coming down the pipe?
Good question, right? So Murali, I think in the context of the AI systems, right? I mean, DPUs are extremely important, right? I mean, you know that an AI system connects to a front-end network for user access as well as for storage access. On the back end, it connects to the back-end network so that we can do cluster-to-cluster communication. That is typically an RDMA network, right? And then also there is a network within the cluster also, which is called the scale-up network. So networking is present very much within the AI systems, front-end network, back-end network, and at the scale-up network, right? So typically the role the DPUs play is on the front-end network because this is where the users are coming in and we need to make sure we provide segmentation for the users. And also, I mean, this is where we are feeding the data to the AI system, so storage access is required. So storage acceleration needs to happen in that area also. But at the same time, I mean, on the back-end side, I mean, if there is any need for encryption, then that DPUs come into the picture also. It is not a very common use case, but we have customers who want to use some offload services on the back-end network as well also. But predominantly, all the front-end networks require some acceleration or offload services with the DPUs coming in. So our strategy at AMD has been, I mean, two things. One is big bet on Ethernet, and as you mentioned that UEC is one example of our commitment to the open standards, right? And this is where we came together with Cisco, formed UEC. Today we are 97 members strong, and then we are basically helping Ethernet evolve to the next phase so that it can provide the framework for the performance that is needed for the AI networks, right? So, and I think 2025 is a big year for Ethernet because this is the first year it is going to surpass from a spend perspective against InfiniBand. And if you look at the 4-year forward, I mean, Ethernet is growing at 37% CAGR, and in 4 years, it's going to be a $13 billion market. So this is a very important cutoff year for Ethernet, where on the back-end side, it is growing. So first bet is big bet on Ethernet and helping evolve Ethernet so that it can be the transport for the back-end networks. And the other big bet that we are making is on the P4 programmability, because we truly believe that as the UEC standard is evolving, I mean, the first revision of the standard is supposed to come in a couple of months, right? I mean, we were expecting March, or if not March, but April. So, and it is going to continue to evolve. So instead of like putting the burden on the consumer, where they have to qualify new hardware every time, we want to make sure that we have a programmable device where we can encode new features, and as the standard is evolving, we can encode the standard into the hardware device. So customer has to certify only once, right? So from a DPU perspective, I mean, bringing it back to your question, we are already on our 3rd and 4th generation of the DPU devices. I mean, you know that you guys are using 200 gig devices. We are already working on the 400 gig devices that Cisco is going to use in future, and similarly, the design is in process for 800 gig. So while the front-end networks today are predominantly 200 gig, and moving on to the 400 gig, the back-end devices are already on 800 gig. So we are continuing on all spectrums of innovation. We innovate on CPU, innovate on GPU, and networking, which is very critical and foundational to the AI systems, right?
Absolutely. So, you know, one of the things, especially from a telecom provider perspective, Ethernet, IP, and being able to provide that in a consistent manner is going to, I'm glad to hear that as we see the demand for Ethernet outstripping even in AI workload environments as well.
Right.
So it's great. It's perfect for the use cases as well that you talked about, Mehmet. One of the things you mentioned also was simplicity.
Yes.
By having a democratization of your infrastructure across all of the use cases on Ethernet, you bring simplicity. And then, of course, it would be a mistake not to remind everybody that the switches themselves, the smart switches, are going to be managed by Nexus dashboard. So it's the same Nexus dashboard across. So I would say that it's a great set of exciting use cases upcoming for us. And the thing that you mentioned about, you know, the various interconnects across the cloud provider and your environment, being able to provide encrypted services are going to be key as well.
Yes.
So whether those are MACsec encrypted services, whether those are offload IPsec services on the DPU, and maybe in the future other kinds of services as well.
So Murli, I mean, and if I have to ask you a question, right? What are the 3 top use cases that you will advise the customers, right, to focus on for the smart switches, right?
Absolutely, thank you. The first use case I would say is what we are calling the cloud edge use case. So like in many of our enterprise environments and also in the telecom environments as well, you have co-location devices, locations. And those co-location
cloud
pods,
solutions especially.
yeah, exactly. And so in those environments, being able to encrypt your workloads as they communicate either onto public cloud or other private cloud environments is one of those. And that you can do right off the bat with the 24-port 100 gig switch that we showed on the left-hand side. The second use case I would say is the zone-based segmentation. So if you look at a data center and inside the data center, being able to do zone-based segmentation at layer 3, layer 4, being able to do it in a micro granular manner with the power of the DPU and the programmability that it brings, coupled with the policy that you can drive and enforce from Hypershield is going to be key. So those are that's the second one. And the final one I would say.
The world of solutions reception has now started.
And the last use case, but not the least, I would say is the top of rack, which is probably the biggest and most widely used use case.
No, that's excellent. No, thank you. Because this is an excellent replacement for the zone firewalls, right? I mean,
Yes, absolutely. So well, with that, I think we're getting the Oscar message there. So thank you, everyone. Really, really appreciate your time. And I would like to thank you for coming all the way and explaining about your use case, Mehmet. And thank you. Great partnership, Yusuf.
thank you. Congratulations.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to us.